The Silk Road, a consumer website that became popular in part of its subculture for people discussing the effects of legal and illegal drugs. The Silk Road. You remember a lot of posts that were on there from John McAfee and things and debates about what he was talking about on that site. Well, his mother joins us, Lyn Ulbricht, the mother of Ross Ulbricht, the man accused of creating and running the Silk Road website. Silk Road is an anonymous, consumer-driven marketplace with few restrictions on items being bought and sold. Prohibited is anything intended to harm or defraud, close quote, such as child pornography, assassinations, or weapons. The only currency accepted is Bitcoin. Although my son, she wrote, is in prison accused of running it, Silk Road operates and thrives today. I have no private information about the case, but she wants to talk about basically, this is what she sent us, about being in close communication with her son and the attorney and to give her view on what's happening. And she's learned, of course, it will set a massive precedent from the lawyers and her son and influence new law and impact our freedom and future of the internet. freeross.org, freeross.org. There's a war going on for the future of the press and the future of media and the future of communication and the future of the marketplace. We are based on the internet now. And if they can end the basic freedom of that and phase in the new systems of tyranny, Chinese-style net censorship openly being proposed in the U.S., SOPA, CISPA, it will become a draconian tool of total control openly run by the NSA and the corporations that have divided up the spoils. That said, understand, I've had the FBI here repeatedly. I've had the Secret Service here repeatedly. I've had the state police here. I've had the ATF here. I've had them all here. They come here and they say, what is this on your message board? Do you know about this? Are you part of this? And I look at them and I go, you know I have a website visited by millions of people a day. And you're trying to act like I've done something wrong to convince me I have so that you can act like I'm supporting someone on here saying they want to kill a cop. And if you have a subpoena for the IP address of that person, that's fine. I'm not going to fight that subpoena. The person shouldn't be on there saying kill cops. But don't try to connect me to it or claim that I am aiding and abetting this when we have moderators and we use a third-party system. How dare you? That's why, again, they SWAT team Amish. All over the country, they'll move FBI in or others next door, for some cases, a year and a half. Famous case a few years ago. We had the Amish folks on. And they kept begging, please give us cheese and milk. And the Amish would just keep giving them cheese and milk. And say, I feel bad. Just take money. Oh, no, no, no. After a year of that, they got them to start selling them cheese, which they would then take across state lines and sell at a farmer's market. Then they SWAT teamed them, shoved them down, put guns to their head for the jury. Let me tell you how the feds work. So the jury sees, SWAT team, well, these Amish must be bad. See how freakish that is? And when the FBI comes in here, they'll go and try to get me to feel bad like I did something because someone said something violent on the website. And then there's a gag order in the subpoena, and so then I can't talk about it. I can just say the FBI was here. People go, oh, you liar, being a drama queen. And then a year later, some guy gets convicted in federal court of threatening to kill a cop and putting the guy's address out. And it talks about me and the FBI visit. I mean, I'm not, I have to deal with this, folks. And I actually just laugh now. I mean, that hadn't happened that many times over the years, maybe 10 times, different agencies. And now they've got files or MO and don't even do that. They just go, here's the subpoena, give us the stuff. And I'm like, here, want some coffee? Treat me normal, I'll treat you normal. Don't come in here and go, oh, so you're going along with these people wanting to kill cops. No, I'm not. Well, why'd you remove the post then? We have moderators that do that. Well, put the post back up. Oh, you want to get me to give the order to put up killing the cops so you can imprison me. I got cameras in here, boys. Get out of my office. Give me the subpoena and get out of here. I mean, I don't know how these people sleep at night when they go out and set up innocent people all the time. It's shameful. Shameful. And disgusting. ATF, and I'm going to go to our guest. The ATF. The ATF. We'll have gun range toadies at big gun ranges. There's famous cases of this. You've heard about them. We've covered them. And a guy will have an M4 semi-automatic 223 rifle, and sometimes they malfunction and shoot 2 rounds. They'll put him in federal prison, even admitting, knowing it was an accident, because the guy is a veteran with no criminal record. That's who they want, folks. That's why you know the government is evil. Now, that said, they can use a case that on the surface you could say is a little more questionable. But if he doesn't get out of this and they're able to get this, it's going to set a precedent to put everybody in jail for what other people say or do on any platforms, including telecoms. This is the end of internet freedom as we know it, and it's extremely draconian. I want to thank Lyn Ulbricht for holding, again, the mother of the creator of the Silk Road, freeross.org. And she joins us to talk about this important case. Paul Watson wrote the article last week, Feds hijack Silk Road case in bid to dismantle internet freedom. Government using charges against Ross Ulbricht as Trojan horse to pass chilling laws that would make website owners criminally responsible for users' actions. And again, I've already experienced the feds trying to trick me into this. So this is serious, people. Thank you very much for coming on, ma'am, and we're sorry for what you and your family are going through.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. I really appreciate that. One of the things that Paul Joseph Watson wrote as well is that he said this is the biggest threat to the future of the internet since SOPA and PIPA, that it's really very serious and that precedent will be set here. Another attorney, Scott Greenfield, on his blog, Simple Justice, he said, this is the birth of law as applied to our digital future. Watch it as a spectator at your peril. So the lawyers are watching it. They know precedent will be set. And I'm trying to call attention to people. This is much bigger than a case of my son, one man, or one website. As you said, it is ushering in and could potentially usher in precedent that could affect everyone and the kind of internet we're going to have in the 21st century.
Talk about your son's case for those that may not know about it. It's been publicized internationally, but for those that don't know, give us some background. You've been talking to him, how the case is going, where he's being held, how he's holding up.
Yeah, he's being held at MDC Brooklyn, which is a transitional facility. It's the kind of place that people that come from federal prison go, when can I go back to prison? This place is horrible. And he's been there for 9 months. He's only now recently been allowed to access discovery, the evidence that the prosecutors have that was ordered in February. There was a 5-month delay while we're waiting and waiting to have this so he can access it. His trial is November 3rd, so it's quite the time constraint. And so he's now working very diligently on that. I, on the other hand, and my family are working at raising funds to pay his attorneys, who are doing a great job and a mountain of work, really, working with us financially to fight this thing. So his case is, it's interesting. There's some interesting aspects to it that we can talk about. One of the main things that Paul Joseph Watson addresses in his article, and what you touched on, is the principle of transferred intent, which makes one person responsible for the actions and even the intentions of another person. And so in this case, it would be the website host provides a platform, makes him a conspirator and responsible for what users do on a site. And you can just imagine what kind of precedent that could set and the impact it could have on the internet, making website hosts responsible for what users do on their site.
And I remember when this all broke, I'd seen Silk Road before when McAfee was talking about it a few years ago. And I went and looked. I mean, it wasn't all discussions about drug culture and things that people were doing or how many Red Bulls to drink or whatever. There was a lot of stuff going on there. But again, it would just set a precedent that I'm guilty when somebody goes on Infowars.com out of 1 million plus people a day and, you know, says we ought to shoot the president. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't want to make Obama a martyr. I don't agree with offensive violence. I'm a libertarian. But I've had the feds here trying to imply I am. And it's really scary.
Yeah, from what I understand from my research, I never was on Silk Road, or, you know, I'm not that familiar with it directly, is that it was designed to be an anonymous marketplace that had some restrictions, as you mentioned, but basically was consumer driven. So if they wanted to sell unpasteurized milk and not drugs, I mean, it wasn't promoted, as far as I can see, as a drug website, although that is what the prosecution is alleging. It was basically, seems to me, a free market experiment. I'm not saying it was all benign. I'm just
well, sure. I mean, that's why they're talking about, like, basically getting rid of Craigslist because sometimes people pick women up and kill them. Well, I mean, that could have been done in the old days with a phone book or at a bar. You know, I mean, are you going to ban walking up and talking to a woman at the tennis courts because, you know, a killer might do it? I mean, Ted Bundy picked women up with his Volkswagen in front of malls. Are we going to ban going to malls because a bad guy might pick women up there and kill them? I mean, it's just so ridiculous. That's all the internet is. It's the same as calling somebody on the telephone or going to a flea market. Are we going to ban flea markets because somebody might be selling pot at the flea market? Alex Jones here to tell you about how you can help spread liberty worldwide while also enjoying what I have found to be the best tasting 100% organic coffee on the planet. For more than a decade, my favorite coffee has come from the high mountains of southern Mexico, where the Chiapas farmers grow their unique shade-grown Arabica beans. We have now managed to secure these sought-after beans in a highly customized blend. Discover and try a bag of the Patriot Blend 100% organic coffee at InfoWarsLife.com. This coffee gives you a long, smooth pick-me-up for hours without the headaches and heartburn that so many other coffees give me personally. Hands down, this is my favorite coffee, and it's taken us years to secure connections directly to the Chiapas Mexican farmers. Drop by the site today, order a bag or two, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Available in original or with our immune support infusion blend. You will be supporting a free press, all the while enjoying a truly great-tasting cup of my favorite coffee. Available at InfoWarsLife.com. We're talking to Lyn Ulbricht. Her son, Ross, created Silk Road, and he's facing... Tell us exactly the latest on what he's facing, how long he's facing in prison, and I guess they're claiming he was facilitating this message board and marketplace where some people might have been discussing selling each other drugs. You know, we've seen the famous cases in Seattle that if I was your lawyer, his lawyer, I would be using as the example if it went to jury or to shake up the federal prosecution that gets about a 98% conviction rate because they'll rig stuff. The only way to beat them is generally, and I've talked to top lawyers on this, is to bring out all their past corruption and to start campaigns against the prosecutors themselves and their corruption, because they're usually so corrupt, if you start an investigation of them, they'll drop it. And I'm just telling you how people really win. It's because it's so rigged. I would bring up cops known and feds known for selling each other drugs in restaurant or bar bathrooms, not telling the court that they're using a confidential informant and then using this to take the bar. It's real famous in Seattle where over 100 bars were owned by cops who had set up the bar themselves to take it over. But I'm just throwing out legal ideas here. What exactly is he facing?
Well, one of the counts is a continuing criminal enterprise, which is the kingpin charge. I believe that has a mandatory minimum of 30 years. It may be 20. Well, I mean, you know, it gets to be, you know, kind of ridiculous because there's 4 counts against him.
Holder needs a kingpin. I mean, Holder's name should be Kingpin Holder. In fact, from now on, that's his name. Kingpin Holder. I'm serious. Go ahead. So Kingpin Holder, who lets all these big banks launder hundreds of billions in drug money every year, and all the rest of it, he wants to put your son in jail for 30 years as a kingpin.
Yeah, and, you know, that's usually reserved for mafia bosses and drug cartel. This is because he had a platform where other people, where other people did these things. One of the things I wanted to point out was the kind of language they use in their replies. And one of the things they say is, well, it's okay that this doesn't really fit because federal laws are expansive and adaptable, especially when it comes to the internet. This is in writing, and I find that extremely alarming that they would think that in total opposition to the Constitution.
Oh, yeah, that's the season, is just be as blatant as you can. Just be open about the power grab.
Right. They just say it, and they say the long arm of the law is far, or the law is far longer than you would imagine. This sort of thing. It's very ominous language.
I wish that long arm would do something about itself.
Yeah. Don't count on that, right. The other interesting thing, Congress passed in the 80s the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, which protects website hosts from transferred intent, being responsible for other people's actions and intentions in civil cases. So if Ross were being sued by an individual in civil court for the exact same conduct, he would be immune. But because it's the federal government bringing the charges, criminal charges in federal court, criminal court, he's facing, decades and decades. And our lawyer says this is arbitrary, discriminatory enforcement, but as well opens up a very dangerous anomaly that will be part of setting precedent for other website hosts to be held criminally liable.
Well, it's also a great way to set people up. I mean, you just send 20, 30 confidential federal informants onto the message board you don't like and have them all start talking about killing people or selling drugs or child porn, and then you just go arrest whoever has that forum.
Well, that's really a good point, because they say that intent, all they need to be sufficiently prove intent is what happens on the forum, what happens on the website. It doesn't have to be an actual act that they prove happened.
Listen, I've had the FBI ask me why I let people threaten to kill cops on my website. And I said, well, number one, we have moderators and took it down. Number one, there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of posts a day. And I said, you know what? Just get out of here. But again, that's how bad they are. I mean, it's really creepy.
Yeah. And they could use this to expand that.
Everyone should try to politically support this young man, because the site's still up and running and operating. They just want to set the precedent to go after everybody else. They've been trying this for a while, and the problem is, it's like Aaron Swartz. Man, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm sure you've thought of this. When Swartz said he was going to battle him, was going to defeat him, and got engaged to be married, I believe they went and killed him and hung him. And then his father said he killed him with the pressure. No, I believe they killed Aaron Swartz because he was fighting similar things for publishing free open research at MIT that was 30 years old as an example of being able to share files the public has paid for. So I think your son, because he's been chosen out of all this, and they've tried to set up these file sharing sites and others for music, and they've lost recently. I think your son, Ross, is in danger because he's in the hands of the real kingpins.
Yeah, that's very sobering. I wanted to let you know, and the lawyer just told me, there's going to be another round of motions coming up at the end of July that's going to address cutting-edge Fourth Amendment issues in the case and build on the recent Supreme Court opinion on privacy in the digital age. A lot of people are asking, how did the government find the Silk Road server? There's been lots of things floated about parallel construction in the case. And so far, the government has not answered that question. So I think there's a lot more that's going to be addressed and coming out that'll be very interesting. And meanwhile, we need your help, because we have to fight this battle, and we're fighting a Goliath. They have unlimited resources. They have unlimited manpower, and we're a small group of people with very limited resources. And whatever help you can give, if you can go to our website and donate. We also need anyone to stand beside us with ideas, skills, anything you can offer to help us fight this. I feel like it's a battle worth fighting. It's going to impact all of us.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, it came out in Reuters last year in August, just about a year ago, on August 5th, what I've been telling people that I was told by a mid-level DEA agent at the gym. One time he was putting his shirt on with his badge around his neck, and he goes, I've been lifting weights with the guy for like a year, and he goes, Alex, Don't tell anybody I'm DEA. Oh, my God. And he goes, and then I never told anybody it was DEA, like, big deal. And then later he was pretty honest about it. He said, look, this is like 10 years ago. He goes, look, it's all listened to. We have access to everything. What you say is true. And we've got control of the switches at the telecoms. Well, that's exactly what Reuters then said, that they're in everything. Everything. Your webcams, everything you say on the phone, they're in the NSA. So they go lie in federal affidavits to judges, and the judges know, to certify it, to then go use illegal evidence in court. See, it's systematic criminal operations. And the argument is, well, we're stopping drug dealing. No, they're not. They're only shutting down small cowboys. And again, I have had family in the CIA, well, the Army, who did stuff for the CIA, who said that they finally quit back in the 80s when they were sent to engage in drug dealing and assassinations in Chicago. And I mean, that's just an example of how corrupt the system is. It's the public is so naive. All you can do is decriminalize. And it's not the drug culture's good either. It's terrible. It's that the government, just like the mafia and the government ran prohibition with alcohol and it tripled the size of the gangs and corrupted the government. When they ended alcohol prohibition, they brought out drug prohibition to be their new business. And it's been growing ever since. We have to discredit the whole system. Any comments to that?
Well, yeah, I think that there's so many people in prison who are either innocent or nonviolent. And it just seems like it's draconian how the repercussions for these things. And our prisons are just overflowing. And yes, I agree that we need to get back to the rule of law and have fair trials. And it's true, I've heard over and over that the prosecution will throw everything at a person to try to get them to plead to things they didn't necessarily do. And that just seems wrong. You have a right to a fair trial. And that's what we're trying to get for Ross.
Again, Lyn Ulbricht, the mother of Ross Ulbricht, freeross.org, the Silk Road creator. How are his spirits after 9 months in the federal dungeon?
Well, Ross is a very positive person by nature. He's an Austin boy, by the way, raised there, and but very positive and resilient, and sees the bigger picture in this. And he stays positive. He taught a physics class in there to inmates and a yoga class, and he now is, of course, concentrating on discovery since he's finally been given the material. So he keeps his spirit up, but it's a challenge. It's not easy. It's been very difficult, and I'm proud of him for how he's handling it, but yeah, it's hard. But he's taking it as a challenge in a boot camp, and we'll all pray for him, and I'm sure he'll get through this, and there'll be another political prisoner when the history books are written, when we defeat the globalists and bring him to justice. But we have grown a giant, vicious, unaccountable, evil, wicked, oppressive, sickening kingpin government that now wants to shut down our free speech. And they're trying to overthrow every country that they don't control right now. They've opened our borders. They're just illegitimate. And the good news is most feds I talk to are not even bad men or women, but they have special cadres under the Justice Department that are the political operatives, and they're the folks going after your son. And it's disgusting. All right, well, we'll get updates from you as this unfolds, and I hope people will try to aid his defense at freeross.org. I know the Electronic Frontier Foundation and others are trying to help, and I know that a lot of other folks are out there. We're all going to hang together or hang separate. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much. What a sweet lady. And I have personally experienced this myself. Where they have gone around to almost every Liberty reporter out there, sending them with different reporters' names, even spoofing their email addresses, child porn, trying to get people to open it. We just don't open any attachments here unless we've talked to somebody over the telephone about it and have confirmed they've sent it. But the default position is when that happens, we call the feds, file reports, and make them do work for sending it. So if that ever happens to you, you just expose the fact that they're doing that. And I want to say something to everybody that's working with the system. This thing will come down one way or another. And you've signed on to stuff that makes the Nazis look like amateurs. I mean, you're signed on to some really bad evil. Sky's the limit. You name it, it's going on. And by your tacit go along, get along, all of you, including the general public, not just the feds, you are now aiding and abetting this. I am not aiding and abetting it. I want to get as far away from this evil as I can. That's why I'm boldly fighting it. Boldly, boldly, boldly. Because I'm in a death battle here. I know they could set me up any moment, kill me, you name it. I'm ready. I don't like it. I don't even get off on the thrill of it. Long time ago I did. I'm committed to being a good person. I'm committed to being honorable. I'm committed to fulfilling my family name. And I'm committed to bringing down tyranny. I'm on the humanities team. And it's because that's what I'm made of. And I'm looking for a few good men out there and women who are looking for the same thing. And it's time to say no. It's time to turn the corner. Stuff's going to get a lot worse a lot quicker. The system made us deny this was going on for a long time while they grew their premeditated takeover. Well, we've caught them flat-footed. And the globalists know that, and they're freaked out. In all their communiques, they say that. They're losing the info war. Their own people are freaking out. It's a gut check time. I mean, their own people now are faced with the fact of, whoa, this is really premeditated, America-destroying, family-destroying evil. Evil. And the government's being converted right now to just absolute corruption. There's a battle going on right now in corporations and governments and everywhere else about the future we're going to have. We're going to collectively together, by the decisions we make, where we spend our money, who we support, what we do, who we stand up against, on whether this goes through or not. Complying, being cowardly, caring about political pressure, caring about peer pressure that media creates, political correctness, has brought us to the verge of ruination, of rack and ruin. We are on the verge. Everything you've seen is the table being set. The feast hasn't begun. But let me tell you, they're dinging the dinner bell right now. That's what all hell's breaking loose right now. Ding, 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 ding. Dinner bell is activated. Dinner bell is activated. And in the minute it takes everybody to get up from the kitchen and the living room and to go in and wash their hands and to sit down and start eating, politically is about 6 months in my gut. They're going to start eating us politically. It's going to get bad. All the tyranny you've seen is just the prelude, the opening act. It's like seeing a thunderstorm blow in and you feel a little bit of wind. If you smell ozone, it feels good on your cheeks. And 30 minutes later, windows are breaking and trees are falling over. All we've seen is just the wind, a little bit of wind. And now it's kind of whoosh, kind of blowing us a little bit. We're like, ooh, that storm's strong. It's about to hit like a hurricane, a typhoon. And I feel sorry for people that hadn't battened down the hatches out there.